everybody. Welcome back to the Film Buds podcast. This is episode number 157, and my name is Henry.
And I'm Paul.
This week, a pretty good show coming up. We have a review of something that I think everyone has just been frothing at the mouth for. It is a review of Peter Jackson's Mortal Engines from 2018, or the Peter Jackson produced film. And then we have a listener question concerning if we have any helpful advice breaking into the media world and producing content. And so we'll get to that. I'm sure a lot of great things will come from that. Other stuff we watched, you know the rest. So thanks again for joining us, Paul. It's great to see you, man. How you doing?
It's great to see you too, man.
Nice.
I'm doing all right. It's been kind of a weird week. We're one day after the inauguration, which is great. But I had like some sort of issues with my parents' health kind of over the weekend, and It was like it's been quite the week. But
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but hey, things happen, and you got to move along. And at least there's the movies.
Yeah, it's for sure.
How's school going?
School is going all right. I'm in a couple in-person classes, but I think I said last week, I'm feeling fairly safe, all considering, and all of that is keeping me quite busy. And then, doing interviews for the Music Buds, which is going pretty well, and have some exciting ones coming up. Working at the coffee shop, this local coffee shop that I've been at for a while, and the inauguration was uneventful. So to speak. So that was good. That was
almost painfully uneventful, really. I mean,
yeah. So that, that's, I guess it's on to the next thing, but doing all right, all considering. So, yeah. Not too much else to mention, really. I think the only thing is, if you didn't catch the last episode, we do have a new bonus show up at the filmbuds.bandcamp.com, where all of most of our bonus shows are at, which is on Disney live action films like Pete's Dragon, Christopher Robin, Beauty and the Beast, and a few others.
Nutcracker in the Four Realms.
Yes, and Alice Through the Looking Glass. So that was a great show, and you can get that for just a $1 donation, so not too bad there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Paul, if I'm ready to talk about Mortal Engines.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about Mortal Engines.
All right. And it turns out we have a clip this time around. I think Paul's got it. So take a listen.
It's a resurrected man.
Shrike. His name is Shrike.
You made me a promise, a special. Now you must keep it.
Go now! Run!
Mortal Engines came out in 2018, and it's directed by Christian Rivers. It stars Hera Hilmar, Robert Sheehan, Hugo Weaving. I don't know her. It's the lady who plays Anna Fang. It's just a single name, like Gia.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize for the butchering there. Ronan Raftery, Stephen Lang, and am I forgetting anybody, Paul?
No, those are really the big ones.
Yeah. And the synopsis is, in a post-apocalyptic world where cities ride on wheels and consume each other to survive, two people meet in London and try to stop a conspiracy.
That sells a different movie.
Yeah. So this one, came out it was in December of 2018. And I think, Paul, this was a first time watch for you, right?
Yeah, I hadn't seen this one.
Yeah, I saw it back in theaters, and it did not do super well financially. At least according to Wikipedia here, it says it was it was the biggest box office bomb in history, if that has not been overtaken by another since, grossing $83.7 million against a production budget of somewhere between 100 and 150 million, losing the studio an estimated $175 million.
That's pretty close to like BVS money.
Yeah.
It was somewhere in the ballpark of like 50 to 100 million. So
yeah. So this one did not get a sequel. And it's produced and co-written by Peter Jackson, as I mentioned. Well, Paul, there's a lot to unpack with this one. Would you like to kick things off since this was a first-time watch for you?
Sure. So it's based on a series of books, and I am also not familiar with the books. So if anyone listening is, and you would like to, I don't know, throw in whether like you have an opinion.
Well, I should say I have read the first book. Okay,
so you have read the first book.
Yes.
I haven't read them. I know that it's not just Pete Jackson that wrote it, but it's his usual cohort of writing partners. So it's him,
yes.
Fran Walsh, and Philippa Boyens. Christian Rivers, for those who may not know, has been a long time fixture at Weta. He was a part of the visual effects department back on like the first Lord of the Rings films. He was a second unit director and on set more in like the Hobbit films. He's a little bit almost of like a Pete Jackson protege, which is an interesting mentor. And you know what? This film feels just like that. You know, it feels like a Peter Jackson movie that was helmed by Peter Jackson's protege. It's almost a little bit like Jurassic Park 3, you know, the protege of Joe Johnston doing a Spielberg impression. And that's, I guess, not a bad thing, but like it definitely feels like it hits all of the notes of a Lord of the Rings film, of an Avatar. You know, it really feels like this strange pastiche amalgam of like all of their stuff, plus some of the stuff from the books, plus a little bit of Star Wars.
Mad Max.
Yeah, you know, it feels like a real amalgam of a lot of stuff that I'm not sure ever really, even though some stuff is good, it never really feels like put together at the end.
Yeah. And also talking about Mad Max, it is done by, the music is by Junkie XL, who did Terminator Dark Fate recently that we talked about. And he did, Mad Max and
the Batman part of Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie, I agree with that. I kind of secretly, I don't think it's a masterpiece. I secretly kind of love it, though. It's so weird and off in its own world that I really appreciate it and find it refreshing in that way. I love the moving cities concept and the visuals of that. I think watching a city literally consume another is really cool, and having it be that post-apocalyptic world. I love the lead character and the design of that character with the red mask or bandana and the coat. I think that design is great, and I like that the lead actor as well. And it is a mishmash of a lot of different things. And I kind of all the sequels that we get, I kind of wish this one would get one. I'm just curious to see what would be next. And I think that there is potential for interesting stories in this world. But no, overall, I do think it is solid. And you know, I'm sure it's a film that we could, you know, criticize a lot or nitpick, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting in its own weirdness.
No, for sure. I think I was talking with my wife earlier about it, and I feel like it's just a little bit of more, a little bit more weirdness away from being like a sort of Fifth Element kind of thing. You know, where it could easily end up getting this following that like really is into it. I think it needs to just be like a little bit weirder, but I really think that there are like some good elements to it. You're right. It is super well conceived. I mean, the visuals of it are probably kind of like with Nutcracker and the Four Realms. The visuals of it are probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest elements of the film.
Yeah.
Everything looks really good. I mean, there are a few shots that are a little janky, but like what movie doesn't have those? Especially when you have, you know, this much visual effect in your film.
Yeah.
No, I really liked it. I guess it's a weird movie for me because it's kind of in that same sort of place, I guess, as kind of Nutcracker and the Four Realms, where I think that some of the stuff is sort of great in it, but also it just never really quite hits greatness. Like it needed some sort of something in it. And it's kind of hard for me to put my finger exactly on what it needed to do, but it just feels unfocused.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of really great pieces are there. I love, my favorite character, actually, the whole thing was Shrike.
Yeah.
The android played by Stephen Lang. I loved his look. I loved his ethos. I loved the sort of dogged pursuer. You know, it's a great character type, that kind of Terminator-esque, you know, murderous robot that also still has something resembling compassion in it.
Yeah. The voice as well.
The voice. Okay, so to be fair, even though I enjoyed the character, the voice was a little heavy for me until they finally, right at the end, like, you know, when he's, I guess, spoiler alert, dying of heartbreak. That's the only explanation I have for how he died. It's like how Padme died. It's like they died of a broken heart. It's lame. And so they really bring down sort of the modulation on his voice in that moment, and that's probably the part where his voice is at its best. But when the movie starts with that voice, I was like, oh, this is like Lord of the Rings narration, but in a garbage disposal. I was like, this is a lot. So bold choice, way to start. Because, you know, Hugo Weaving's right there. What an insult. He could have narrated this thing easily.
Yeah.
Or it could have been Tom, you know, it could have been one of our historian characters, but they were like, no, we're going to use the weird modulated voice. It's going to get the audience's attention right up start. Talk about a character that once upon a time would have been played by Andy Serkis.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But no, like, you know, it's apparently like his first, Christian Rivers, this is apparently like his first full film, and it feels it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I agree.
I don't think it's a bad first film. I've seen a lot worse, especially lately. But I don't know. I've had this weird experience like the last 2 or 3 movies that I've watched where it's like there's this... Oh my God, sorry about that.
You're fine.
There's like this weird element that I can't quite put my finger on that kind of like throws off the whole experience. And so like I was recently watching another movie, News of the World.
Oh yeah.
And I was really enjoying it, but I felt again like that was a movie that kind of had like this weird sequencing of events that it just sort of it kept it just that shy of crossing that next benchmark of quality for me.
Yeah, that's fair. And I didn't realize that was a Paul Greengrass movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I agree. With the antagonist, I love that the design of that character and the look, and there's definitely that Terminator vibe to it. Like when he's coming out of the water, like there's that kind of, you know, very Terminator-esque feeling. And I do really like there's the sequence where Hester Shaw tries to kill Hugo Weaving, and I love that chase, like in the underground kind of belly of the city. Also, some visuals. I like the almost like caterpillar mobile home that they encounter, you know, where it's like pieces of terrain as the body of the vehicle or home, whatever you want to call it. And then also I do really like, again, I can't pronounce her name correctly right now, but the outlaw lady who they meet.
Anna Fong.
Yes. Yes. She's great. Hey, I mean, I would love to get a prequel spinoff series with her, right, Paul?
I mean, honestly, I guess out of all of my leads, she was one of the ones that I found a little bit more interesting. Truthfully, I think one of the things that threw me for this movie was that I found a lot more of the secondary and sometimes even tertiary characters more compelling than some of my leads.
Yeah, like I thought the main guy was kind of bland.
Yeah, and it's funny because I love Tom, the guy that plays Tom is also in Umbrella Academy as Klaus. And I think that he does a great job in Umbrella Academy. I really enjoy his character. I think that he kills that. He finds a lot of humor and a lot of heart in a junkie story that could easily end up being too much of one or the other. And I think that he walks like a great delicate line with that character in that show. And here he's just kind of bland old Tom, like he's as straightforward as his name. And so, yeah, I found myself more intrigued by some of the secondary and tertiary characters, you know, and even just some of the design and of them I thought was way more exciting and interesting. You know, the slavers who have the sort of anthropod bug-like home with their weird, you know, she's got her weird Sweeney Todd on stage almost makeup going, you know. And he's got his weird steampunk train conductor vibes. And I really enjoyed that. I liked the guy who was one of the dwarves from The Hobbit as the slaver with the sort of Trumpian wig and the sequin suit. I thought that was great. Mark Hadlow, I think is his name. And so there were some really cool elements, but like, yeah, it didn't, I guess, I don't think that Christian really knew exactly what it was that he wanted to do with it. And so I think he just sort of shot it, if that makes sense, you know, like, and that's fine. But I mean, also at the end of the day, it means that it kind of just ends up being okay. And I think that that's in sometimes worse than being bad. I think that sometimes if you're just okay, you can also then end up getting a little bit more lost in the middle. Whereas if you're horrible, everyone remembers you because you're horrible. And if you're great, everyone remembers you because you're great. If you're just kind of existing somewhere in like it was good, then, you know, I think that that's not necessarily, it's not the worst endorsement, but it's not the best. Yeah, for sure. And maybe I give it more credit just because I like these kind of underdog movies, kind of looked over movies. But like with Shrike, I like the flashback of Hester Shaw being found by him and then her escaping. I like that sequence. I like the reveal about the mother and how Hugo Weaving ties into that. And then also that kind of sky city that they go to that's like nestled in the clouds. I love that sequence. And also the fight where Shrike encounters them at that, it's not a bargain, what do you call it? Where the Hobbit guy that you're just talking about. Oh, the like the slave market.
Yeah. Yeah. At that I like that whole sequence with the rope and all. That's fantastic. Now, but even with all that being said, Paul, as much as it's the best film of all time, there is one borderline barf-inducing moment of this movie. It's towards the very beginning. Do you know what?
No, I mean maybe it just didn't register for me. What's your moment?
The Minions.
Oh yeah,
brutal.
Okay, so well, apparently in the book it's supposed to be like Pluto and Mickey.
That's much better. Yeah,
but this is a Universal film, and so they were like, who are like our characters that we can, you know, license and use. Yeah. And I mean, I'll be frank, I've been out to Universal Studios in Hollywood, and the Minions are fucking everywhere. They are all over that bitch. Like there is a massive Minion that like comes and is like peeking out at one of the interstates from like atop of one of the buildings. The Minions are
everywhere
for that damn place. So, you know, unfortunately, as much as I hate to admit that it's kind of right. I mean, the Minions movie did make $1 billion.
Yeah. So. and perhaps if it was not a Universal movie, I wouldn't think much of it. But it's by the same studio. Like I was like, I remember when I was in the theater, I was like, this is the coolest movie of all time. And then that comes in. I was like, oh my God, I'm done. But no, overall, but I still enjoy the movie, and it is, I just find the world that it creates quite interesting, you know, much more than a lot of the other blockbusters that we get. And
if you want, I'll say this though, you know, that synopsis promises city on city combat more than we actually get. And so if you're interested in giant city mechs, might I suggest to our listening crowd Batman Ninja.
Oh.
It is a Batman anime where Gorilla Grodd time travels Batman, some of his good guys, and a whole bunch of bad guys back to feudal Japan. And all of these bad guys then go and turn like Japanese cities into roving mechs. That end up in combat. So if you want to go and watch something that's like really ridiculous Batman content, that also
cool.
has that also has a little Mortal Engines tinge to it. Batman Ninja, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah,
you're right. It does. It's at least trying something. It's swinging for something, and at the end of the day, you do have to give it credit for at least taking something that's like a not as talked about, as far as I'm aware, book series, and really giving it a big budget. I mean, this thing definitely had the money to support itself. So I'll also definitely give them credit for swinging big and wide on it.
Yeah, I do wish there had been more city combat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like you get that in that opening sequence that I think is great. Actually, which I think you can actually watch in its entirety on YouTube. I think they released that first 8 or 10 minutes, and I love that sequence. But for the most part, that's all you get.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so apparently, I guess some of the sequels have more cities, more roving cities in them. Honestly, I couldn't at times help but feel like maybe a TV series would have been better suited to this. I know that they probably wouldn't have had the budget, but who knows? Maybe that would have made them get a little bit more creative in how they kind of achieved some of this. You know, sometimes it's good to have a little bit of restraint in there, you know. So who knows? I Lord of the Rings is, you know, kind of this like fantasy before humans were here, the way that we understand them version of Europe. And at least with Lord of the Rings, you have enough knowledge of like ghouls and goblins and magic that like that I think is a little bit easier to sort of get into. Whereas there were definitely times with this where I felt like it was so bogged in information and world and lore that I was like, what the fuck is like, what does any of this mean? You know?
Yeah.
You know, like, and the one guy, you know, Mark Hadlow throws out like 3 different terms that are meant to be like colloquialisms to call like what kind of slaves, you know, Hester and Tom are going to be. And I was like, I'm sure this would mean a lot more if I really understood kind of like a little bit more about what this world was. And so it's ambitious as hell. But I think that, yeah, one of the things that also gave it a little bit of distance for audience members at large was like, I don't know what half this shit is, you know. I am all seeing it for the first time. And the truth is people just have a really hard time with that right now. Audiences just aren't necessarily like willing to go try it, and if it doesn't necessarily work out, you know, still go in droves and maybe give it a second shot, you know.
Yeah, I agree. It is impressive what they pack in to a 2-hour film. You know, it's not like, you know, 2 hours and 45 minutes like a lot of blockbusters are now. So it does pack in a lot of world building within that runtime. But I agree, like looking at, you know, Mad Max Fury Road, like when I saw that, I hadn't seen the previous ones, but that world is laid out so simply,
so cleanly,
and so cleanly that you don't need any real background. You get it, you know, quite quickly. And with this, it's a little too complicated to pull that off in the time that it has.
As I was watching it, I was like, this is what people who didn't read the Harry Potter books were feeling when they hit movie 5.
Yeah.
I was like, I should have read the fucking book. Like, that was one of the thoughts that I had as I watched the movie. I was just like, damn, I should have read the book, you know?
Yeah.
So what are, in your opinion, you know, as someone who has read the book and watched the movie, do you have a preference for one story over the other? Do you think that it's a faithful adaptation based on what you recall?
Yeah, from what I remember, it is fairly faithful to the source material, and I think just being a movie, someone who connects with movies more, I enjoy the movie more. I think I'm going to start reading the second book soon, but no, the book is worth a read. It's a compelling novel, and I think I am quite curious to see where the rest of the series goes. But yeah, I prefer the film, you know, but that's purely just because I just enjoy watching movies more.
Okay, that's interesting. I might be tempted to give it a read. It kind of, I guess, depends on how long it is.
Pretty short.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I might end up giving it a read because I definitely feel like there's probably something in there that might help something click with me a little bit more. And who knows, maybe like I'll read it and then watch it and have like a little bit more appreciation for the film.
Yeah.
But that's not to say it's bad. It's just, it's kind of like The Good Dinosaur or Brave, It's a movie and it's good and it's there and you can watch it.
Yeah.
And it has some good stuff in it.
I don't think it's on any streaming platform.
It's not.
So yeah, we picked the right one.
Yeah. Had to go and spend the $4 for this one.
Yeah. Well, okay. Anything else about Mortal Engines, Paul?
No, I guess since I've like really watched a whole bunch of the behind the scenes stuff on a whole bunch of different Weta related films, for me watching them now is like a who's who of who's that from the behind the scenes stuff. And so it's like, that's one of the stuntmen who was in Orakai.
Oh yeah.
That's a guy who's been in a bunch of Lord of the Rings stuff. That's a guy who works in the art department.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole new layer of movie watching for you.
Yeah, it's enjoyable to kind of see the cast of characters that you get from going deep into the behind the scenes land and seeing the sort of family that makes these films.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's a light 4 for me, Paul.
Oh, a light 4. I'm gonna go with a solid 3.
Okay.
Maybe a 3.5.
All right.
No, I liked it. It's good.
Yeah. High praise. So, okay, well, cool. With that done, we can get to our listener question that we got the week before last, I believe. And it's the filmbuds@gmail.com is where you can reach us at. Also, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at filmbuds. So please follow us there and comment, send us a message there if you have not already. And thank you to the people that have. This one came through Twitter, and it's from Ronnie Jason. And they say, "Dear Paul and Henry, it's fun listening to the Film Buds during my work commutes most weekdays." That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm not in the media industry, although it's one thing I would like to end up in, producing things. If you don't have tips with where you're currently at, that's totally okay. But I wanted to inquire to see if you had any helpful advice for someone else who may just be getting started. Thanks a lot for the good times. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for asking a question. Henry, do you want to take it?
Sure. Well, and I guess the first thing I should say is I'm not someone who, I'm not in the industry, quote unquote. As I said, I work at a coffee shop, so this isn't something I do for a living at this point, maybe one day. But I think, I was talking to a composer a few months ago on the Music Buds, and one quote that he said, it was from someone else, but he said that the best camera is the one that you have with you. And mm-hmm. I think that really speaks true, especially to producing things, because, whether it's you're wanting to make movies, music, write books, whatever, go ahead and start doing it and make it. I think with how things are now and technology evolving as quickly as it is, and it becoming easier and easier to get high quality technology and equipment, people, I think, are kind of saying, oh, wait, I'm going to wait until I can get that good equipment before I start making something, so that way I can stand out. But in reality, the content is what's most important, in whatever way. And so, if you're wanting to produce things, whether it's for a living or just as a hobby, at least I personally would admire someone who went ahead and made something, even if the technical quality was not that good, as opposed to someone saying, I have this great idea. I'm going to wait a year so I can get the best equipment so it'll really pop, And so it's like, okay, so you're going to do it, but is that actually going to happen? And so I really appreciate someone, especially in this day and age when, things are quite isolated and disconnected, of just making the content, because again, the content will speak for itself, whether it's, a $2,000 camera or a $10 one, an iPhone, or I can't necessarily speak to like getting jobs just because, for the most part, I kind of treat this as a full-time job, but it's not something I'm living off of at the moment. But yeah, so my suggestion, if you're wanting to just produce things, is go ahead and do it. So
that's going to be the only way that you get noticed.
Exactly, yeah. And now, Paul, you, as opposed to me, you've spent more time in like actual like paid jobs in the industry than I have. So I'm sure you have some other perspectives, perhaps.
Well, I don't really, I guess, have any paid job experience. I did do an internship for a little while out in LA. I did the whole.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Thing. I went, so like, I guess a little personal journey time.
Please.
I graduated out of college. I went to LA. I hadn't done any internships. I didn't really have any connections beyond the person that I had gone out there with. And I really just kind of tried to hit the ground running. And, the LA scene can certainly be a tough, if you can hit it the right way at the right time, have some connections and stuff like that, it's a really great thing. But it can also be really tough, I mean, it took me months to finally land an internship. And it was an unpaid internship at a tiny little studio that I'm not even sure exists anymore, Reverse Engineering Studios. Shout out, if you know. And they were like, on the Fox lot, and that was cool. But like, I didn't even end up actually doing any of my intern work at the Fox lot. I was sitting at home on a laptop reading scripts and giving feedback. I was writing coverage.
Right.
So, you don't have to go to any particular city. And that was something that I recently talked about on Sane Show in pre-interview with someone that we recently talked to. She's a model and she's been in Star Wars and stuff like that. And she's intentionally gone to places where she stands out. She's a very tall, dark black woman. And so she's intentionally gone to places that she sort of stands out, markets that she stands out. And she knows people who have gone to markets where they stand out. To intentionally then be sort of more inquired about just because they stand out.
Gotcha.
And there's no one set way to get into this. I'm not getting paid for anything that I'm doing right now on Film Buds. I'm not getting paid for anything that I'm doing over at Sane Show and Sane Media. But things are growing and it's partially about networking. It's partially about contacting people. It's a difficult nut to crack, but the truth is you just have to kind of start. You have to figure out what it is that you're passionate about and what story it is that you can actually tell. Everyone always says start with what you know. And that doesn't mean that you have to literally tell the story of you, the person doing whatever it is that you're doing right now, but what situation can you put you in that creates that same sort of essence of a response that resonates the same sort of way that you know it. So like you'd really, like Henry said, just have to kind of start doing it. There's no right and wrong way into it, but it's a tough business. And it's never been tougher. Podcasts are proliferating. Video content on YouTube is everywhere. TikTok is everywhere. And part of it is also riding social media trends. And so really, the kind of blunt, hard truth of it is that you just kind of have to get after it. You got to hustle, and you got to hustle hard. Because unfortunately, exactly like Henry said, there's never going to be a right time. There's never going to be a right moment. You just have to hit the pavement. And
take every opportunity that you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you never know which one is going to lead to something.
And reach out to all manner of people. One of the things that I honestly think that I did wrong in LA was that even though I was applying to jobs, I was not reaching out to enough people. I wasn't finding people on social media and LinkedIn who were in the industry and getting connected and building relationships, And you can also start looking at other markets. You can start, I'm not sure what kind of producer you want to be, dear Ronnie. But, if you want to get into music, go and start. If it's music production that you want to do, you got to go and start finding some musicians to start working with. If it's movie production that you want to do, you got to go and find some places, or go and get into a newsroom, start in graphics, try and move your way into, a position where you're an associate producer, you know? There's no one set path. It's also largely based on you, your experiences, where you are, and you just gotta, ain't nothing to it but to do it, baby. Like, you just gotta get out there and and give it a swing, you know?
Yeah. No, that's all good points. And, you know, I mean, looking at me, like, you know, I've been doing these shows for 3.5 years now. I'm not making money off it. I'm actually losing money.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I'm, you know, I commit every moment of extra time and money that I have to it, whether we had 2 listeners or 20 million, you know, it's still just as enjoyable to me to do. And so really, if you have that kind of mindset, you can have success in anything, really. And so, I mean, of course, you know, a job is a paying job as opposed to something else. But yeah, as you said, just start making something, and you never know what may happen. Yeah.
And reach out, you know. I reach out to countless people to try and come on to Sane Show. I hear back from almost none of them.
Same here for Music Buds.
But I hear back from some of them, and some of those people that I hear back from, you know, I get something from. I once was talking to someone about, like, you know, getting work in LA, and it's like, you apply to 100 jobs, you hear back from 50 of them, you interview at 25 of them, you get a second interview at 5 of them, you get hired at 1 of them.
Right.
You know, you've just got to, it's scattershot.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And, you know, like thinking like with the Music Buds, the other podcast, you know, I only started interviewing back in August of last year. And a week before that, I hadn't had any thought as to try and do that. But then I said, hey, I'm going to reach out to this rock band that I like. And then they said yes, thankfully. And thanks so much to Potty Mouth for saying yes. But like, and then I've done it every single week since, you know? And as you were saying, I probably send out 20 emails a week to people, and I probably hear back from maybe 5. And then I get a few rejections, but then I also get acceptances from people I never thought in a million years would say yes to something like a podcast interview, you know, or something that I was doing. And so again, you never know. And that's what's kind of the exciting thing, because you just got to keep going with it, because, you know, there are people out there who want to give you a break and be like, hey, let's start something together, or bring you into a job or an organization, but you have to be there in order to get that. You know, you have to keep driving forward in order to be noticed. And so, but of course, you know, you always want to make sure, is this the thing that I actually want to be doing? So if you're going to commit to it because you really want to do it. Because if you're not fully in love with it, you're going to realize that at a certain point you made the wrong choice, probably, you know? And so just, you know, give it some thought, and whether it takes a month or 10 years, you know, you can get there. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's kind of the frustrating thing is with this kind of industry, you never know when something may come along. You know, some people, I mean, look at like Billie Eilish, you know, she dropped some songs online, and now look at her. Yeah. But others, it may take 10, 20 years to get noticed, but you might as well try.
Yeah. I mean, look at when we became aware of Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
When
exactly.
Glorious Bastards was like what, 2009, 2010?
Yeah.
He was already, I think, into his 50s at that point, or at least his 40s. So, you know, he was not a spring chicken when he really like broke the fuck loose, at least in an American audience standpoint. And the only other thing that I would mention to Ronnie or any listener that wants to try this, you know, over at Sane Show, Cliff, the guy that I work with, once was talking about a piece of advice that he had gotten from someone. And it was, you know, you have to have a team. And the way that you find your team is by finding the people that you fuck with the most and working with them. And so, you know, it's not an isolated journey. Find people, make a network, keep at it, keep growing it, keep trying. And, you know, I can't promise you success. I will never promise you success, but
please, Paul, come on.
But I can promise you that if you keep trying at it, even if it never gets where you one day hoped it would do, or like what it would be, you'll always have good memories from that time. And, you know, at the end of the day, you'll be able to go to bed at night knowing that you are trying your hardest at the thing that you care about. And no one can take that from you.
Yeah. And lastly, and it's almost like a cliched thing to say, but like in this kind of industry, even though I'm not, you know, fully in it as a career, you have to learn that you're going to be said no to a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's going to be a lot of rejection, but that doesn't mean that your work or you yourself are not worth it, you know, or not, you know, up to snuff. You just got to keep going, because for all, you know, those 10 no's, you might get one yes.
Yeah.
And that's like the coolest feeling in the world.
The one yes always outweighs the 10 no's.
Yeah. Like, and again, I'm not trying to go back to these interviews to plug them. I'm just, you know, talking about them, like getting an acceptance, like chatting over email with like the guy who did the music for Moneyball. Like that was the coolest thing in the world, you know? But before that, I had 20 people say like, fuck you, Henry.
Yeah.
I'm not coming on your podcast,
yeah.
You know? And so like, but that made my year. I was like, oh my God, I have a new potential, new opportunity. And then the rest is history. So,
yeah.
So
I hope that was helpful, Ronnie.
Yes. If anybody else has advice that we can give out, please feel free to send it to us. And again, the filmbudspodcast@gmail.com is where you can reach us at. And so thanks again, Ronnie, for the question.
Yeah. Just as a little quick anecdote about how
Please.
frustrating this whole thing can be. So using the alumni network of the college that Henry and I graduated from, I was able to get in touch with a writer. And we had managed to land this writer. They have written for Saturday Night Live, several sitcoms. They currently have an animated sitcom, and we had landed this writer, done the pre-interview, had the questions ready, had the interview date locked up, boom, 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 we're ready to go. And, you know, last minute, they decided to go and run this interview up the flagpole at the studio that they worked for, and the studio's PR firm was like, no, you doing an interview right now is not a part of the PR for the show. So it's a big negatory. And we ended up losing like a huge get, a pretty well-connected guest. And so, yeah, you know, it's a frustrating, it can be really frustrating, but then also like, you know, recently we landed an executive who was one of the people that brought the world the Kings and Queens of Comedy tour. So,
oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, it's highs and lows.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
This job is highs and lows.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that was helpful in some way.
Yeah.
So, cool. Well, I guess we can end off, Paul, unless there's any news you have. Anything in particular? Versus King Kong has been moved up, thank God.
That trailer's coming out this Sunday. Apple is apparently contemplating trying to find a way to monetize podcasts, so there's a chance that Apple Podcasts might no longer be free. I saw that get floated across my desk.
FilmBuds is making money now.
Or we're about to be booted from the platform.
Yes.
So one of the two, tune in.
Come on.
Tune in, listener.
If there's no show next week, you know why.
Fucking Apple. So, but no, I don't really have any like major news. That's kind of like all that's really going on that I can think of in terms of like impacting media news right now. Yeah, I don't have anything.
All right. Then I guess we can end off with our picks of the week. Paul, you want to kick things off?
Sure. You know, I was going to go with news of the world, but I think that I am going to switch it up and I'm actually going to make mine a TV pick this week. Go and watch WandaVision.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I'm a big fan. As someone who like really is into media history and knows some of the lineage of like sitcom development and that kind of thing, I'm really enjoying watching this kind of episode by episode metamorphosis. I think that it's a really, really cool concept. This is one of, I think, the best thought out, most exciting concepts for any Marvel property in existence right now. And honestly, I think on a certain level, it might be my favorite thing that they have put out to date.
Oh, wow.
Just because it's trying something that I think is really, really fun and works great and is maybe one of the best Disney originals that they've put out on Plus so far. I think it smokes The Mandalorian. Mandalorian looks like a fucking child's play dream compared to WandaVision. So, no.
And wait, are you saying that WandaVision is better than any of the Marvel films?
I think
TV
it might
shows?
be, yeah.
Okay.
And I know that like it's hard to compare a TV show to a movie, but like they have committed in full to this concept, and I can't be more excited to see where it goes. It feels very almost Truman Show.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch it. I just know it's going to be like I want to put 110% focus on it. So I got to be in the right place for it, but I'm looking forward to it.
You know, you could just wait. I think it's like the first 2 episodes dropped last week, but then I think it's 1 a week for the next 8 weeks.
Right.
So, you know, you'll be done with school by the time that like all of it is there, and Ian could just sit down, crush it all, you know?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Be a hermit for like 4 hours and just, you know.
yeah, I can do that. Done that once or twice.
Yeah. What's your pick of the week?
So I'll mention there are a couple I didn't rewatch yet. I have rewatched basically the entire Pixar feature film catalog.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I watched Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, all of which I love. Toy Story 4, which I like, don't love. Monsters, Inc., which is one of my favorite movies. Monsters University, which I really like. I love Mike Wazowski. Best guy. Cars 1, 2, and 3. I really like first Cars. I like Cars 3 a fair bit. 2 is brutal.
Fucking Mater.
Yeah. So much Larry the Cable Guy. Brutal.
Too much Mater.
Yes. What are some others? I didn't rewatch Up or Inside Out yet.
Didn't feel like crying.
No. Didn't rewatch Coco yet. There might be one more on there. Oh, Incredibles 1 and 2. I love the first one, and I enjoyed the second one a fair bit. It kind of gets better every time I watch it, and it looks amazing. The lighting is so good in that. It's shot like a
pretty
noir
movie.
Yeah, really good. I think that's it. Might be, running out of the films, yeah. So, yeah, that's been... And because the good thing is most of them are like an hour and a half, so you can just kind of burn through them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been fun.
Yeah, we watched, my wife and I, speaking of like, you know, quick movies, we watched News of the World, which isn't like terribly long. It's just shy of 2 hours. But then the next day, we ended up watching Stagecoach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, and that's a great one. That's one of my favorite Westerns. And that's a pretty quick, like hour and a half, hour 20, something like that. It's a quick movie.
Yeah. I think that might be about it. Yeah. Yeah, not too much else. Now, is that one of your favorite Westerns in general, or is that just like a classic film that you enjoy?
It's one of my favorite old Westerns. You know, it's 1939, so it's a little bit before like ratings and the code and stuff like that, where certain things can and can't be showed on screen. It's a really well done Western. There's a bunch of really, really poignant stuff about classism, and also a bunch of really still like relevant to right now themes. You know, there's this moment where there's this banker, this corrupt businessman who stole a bunch of money in one town and is trying to get to another town before like the phone lines or the telegraph lines are repaired. And there's this moment when he's in the cab, you know, the stagecoach, and he's carrying on about, you know, deregulation, you know, make way for business, because business is what's going to save us, and we need a businessman president. And as I was watching it, I was like, oh, geez.
Oh, no. Speaks so much.
Yeah, you know, still very relevant all the way back from 1939. So, yeah, it's one of my favorite old school Westerns. When I was trying to figure out what kind of Western we were going to watch that day, I looked at my wife and I was like, roots or branches? You know, do you want to go classics or moderns? So,
Do you have a favorite, an all-time favorite Western?
An all-time favorite Western.
Lone Ranger?
No, I mean, it's really hard for me to pick a favorite. Just for right now, I'll say Inglourious Bastards.
Okay. An interesting, unexpected choice. So,
what about you?
I think by far it would be the assassination of Jesse James
by the coward Robert Ford.
Yeah,
I felt like you were either going to go that way or True Grit, the Coens' True Grit.
That's not a bad. That's not a bad choice. That would be. I mean, that's what I think of for sure, but I feel like there would be others in between those two.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I lied completely. My favorite is not Inglourious Bastards. That's second place. I'm a moron, dear listeners. My favorite is The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Really? Okay.
Yes,
interesting.
I love that movie. I think it's a movie that I think about a lot. It is a Western I think about a lot. I think that might be, for me, a perfect Western film.
Wow. We didn't review that back when it came out. We might have to review that sometime.
Don't you tempt me. I'll rewatch it again in a heartbeat, Henry.
Yeah. Oh, and a couple others would be No Country for Old Men is another. And The Revenant would also be one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are all good. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is probably one of mine. What's another Western that I really like? Hell or High Water.
Oh, yeah. Great one.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a great genre.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Paul, anything else for you, man? Anything else you want to mention?
No, not really. Happy post-inauguration, everyone. Regardless of who you voted for, I think that we can all agree that we're all in this together at the end of the day, no matter what. And, we get to vote at the end of the day still, which is an incredible honor that a lot of other countries don't have. I mean, 100, some odd teen countries have the ability to vote. But when you think of the number of countries that are actually in the world, that's still kind of minute. So, regardless of who you voted for, let's all just kind of have a little, good nature moving forward, because this disease is not going anywhere. And a lot of the issues that face our nation aren't going anywhere. And like anything at all in life, it's always going to be better if you can do it hand in hand than if you can do it alone. So,
yeah. And it sounds cheesy, but be nice to people. Be nice. And if you disagree with someone, doesn't mean they're a monster. All right. Be as kind as you can. The little gestures, especially these days, can go a long way. And
it's a classic lesson. Treat others the way that you want to be treated, and it's probably the best way that you can live.
Yeah. Well said. Okay, well, I think that is about it for the show, sadly. Now, next week, Paul, I mean, you and I have thrown around a ton of ideas.
We really have. Is there like a new release coming out? I don't know.
I'm not seeing too many. I mean, I know... let's see.
Oh, you know what? I just watched News of the World. We could do News of the World.
I'm down for that.
Perfect.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, there doesn't look like there's much else anyway, so... Oh, yeah, there's a new later this month, a new Jared Leto movie, Paul. You must be excited for that.
Oh, good.
But yeah,
Jared.
But yeah, the News of the World sounds good to me, so we'll shoot for that next week. And yeah, so again, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Film Buds, and rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff, and just share Film Buds with your friends. Be generous, just share it. And yeah, well, Paul, man, I mean, it's great to see you. Thanks again, as always, for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It was great to come in and talk film as always.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everybody. Well, we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.